Staples are really important to consider, not just for new players building decks for the first time, but also for people who have built decks a lot. The question is not always what is the best card. It is what is the best card in your deck, right? That's what you really want. So what you need to do is say, do I want to use the staple? If not, why? Am I replacing the card with the staple? Remember, you can use both. Put both in. It's singleton. It doesn't mean you have to replace one with the other. We are talking about the top 10 Commander staples today, and we're using the list according to EDHrec. So this isn't something I made up myself, just so you know. Please like and comment. I was asking for subscribers all the time before, and it's way more important to have interaction apparently. So I'm hoping you guys can interact and maybe without being super mean or something. I had someone on a short where I recommended Pili Pala, I believe it was. You can easily get infinite mana out of it. And they told me to delete myself from the internet because they didn't like it. Delete yourself from the internet. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, the from your internet thing is called hedging. It's where you add something to express doubt or basically cover your butt. And yeah, that's so you can say something really terrible and get away with it. So what he meant was delete yourself. Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was saying the super dark thing, but adding a thing that doesn't mean anything to insulate himself from blame, basically. Wow, that's because you don't like that magic card. Oh buddy, you're right there. Anyway, sorry, I'm just going on a tangent now. But if you could comment, and yeah, especially what would you suggest for alternate picks for these staples? I think that's a really interesting thing and very helpful for people who are trying to build new decks. So yeah. If you could come up with some suggestions, that would be a big help. Top 10 Commander cards here. Again, we're looking at the top 10 according to EDHrec, not myself. So if you don't agree, take it up with EDHrec. Anyway, yeah. We're only looking at the ones that are under my $2 limit. As usual, I have my $2 limit because I'm not a moneybags person that has $10 budget cards. Anyway, yeah, that's a whole other rant. But anyway, so there's only one card actually. It was the number 10 was over $2. Everything else was under. So I believe I have 1 to 9 the same, and then I have number I think it's 12 as my 10th spot because that is in my budget range. Anyway, Blasphemous Act was the number 10 I took out. Again, it is 8 in a red for a sorcery that does 13 damage to each creature, and yeah, this spell costs 1 extra, or so 1 less to cast for every creature on the battlefield. Basically, very likely 1 red mana, destroy everything. Really useful, especially if you have a bunch of things that are indestructible, you're set. But yeah, very expensive unfortunately. It went down in price and then back up recently. So I am doing the top 10 under $2. As I said, it's under $2. And I'm also really interested in seeing what do people substitute things with? Because again, these staples are kind of the baseline, I think. You might want to have them in every deck, but maybe do you want to have this and something else, or do you want to replace this with something else? Number 10. Chaos Warp. So 2 in a red for this instant. The target permanent shuffles it into his or her library, or into their library, and then reveals the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, put it onto the battlefield. So they do get something else, probably, right? Unless they get an instant or sorcery on the top of their library, they're going to get something else in the battlefield. This is about making sure they don't keep that problem card, right? Also, it just says target permanent. That means it can hit lands and things like that. So yeah, very flexible removal. Potential downside. I wouldn't want to use this on just anything. Anyway, 63 cents. Number 9, Farseek. Okay, this is our first ramp spell here. So yeah, You can, for 1 and a green, search a library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. What's really important about this card is what it does not say. It does not say basic. So any land that says plains, island, swamp, or mountain, you can go get it and throw it straight into the battlefield. That's really, really good, especially if you've got something like a triome. A triome has 3 different land types and makes 3 different colors of mana. You can just go get that and throw it into your battlefield. And you're probably, all your mana fixing's done for the game. So good. 125. Number 8. Okay, Rampant Growth. I'm surprised this one is this high, honestly. I would not rank it this high personally, but again, it's EDHrec, right? So for 1 and a green, this is a sorcery. Search a library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So it does get a land straight to the battlefield. It does have to be a basic though. And it's 1 land for 2 mana. Farsight is just better. Anyway, 41 cents? I would replace that one. Anyway, number 7. Beast Within. Okay, so we've got 2 and a green for this instant. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 beast creature token. That's really good, right? They get a 3/3 beast sounds like a downside, but whatever you're taking out is going to be so much more of a problem than that 3/3 beast. So it's also, that's super flexible removal, where it just says target permanent. It doesn't care. Land, whatever. If it's a problem, get rid of it. That's it. 120. Number 6. Counter Spell. You might expect this to actually be higher ranked, but anyway. For 2 blue, this instant is counter target spell. Nice and simple. Just counter a spell. This is actually the only counter on the top 10 list. I was kind of surprised by that. Counter spell is kind of like the gold standard kind of thing, but not necessarily right for every deck. So that you can find lower cost ones that are maybe a bit more niche, that don't counter every spell, but maybe counter an ability or a target ability or something like that. So you can find lower cost ones. You can also find ones that are maybe a bit higher cost, like 1 blue, but it'll also do things like proliferate. So what's right for your deck? Do you want this and something else, or do you just want to replace this with something else? Anyway, 175. Number 5. Okay, Cultivate. Another ramp here, another green ramp. Green ramp is pretty big on the list. Again, the first 2 things I always look at when building a deck is card draw, ramp. Card draw, ramp are like the most 2 fundamental things. Removal is number 3, but yeah. Definitely, I think this list does demonstrate that well, because the green ramp is just like all over this list. So for 2 and a green, this is a sorcery. Search a library for up to 2 basic land cards. Again, they have to be basic. Reveal those cards, put 1 into the battlefield tapped and 1 into your hand. Guaranteeing your land drop is so good. I say this all the time. If you're ramping and you're missing land drops, you're not ramping. You're paying for land drops, right? Make sure you get your land drop. That's really, really good. Anyway, yeah, 72 cents. Number 4. Path to Exile. Okay, this is such a weird one. For only 1 mana, so already very good for that. This is an instant for 1 mana also. Exile target creature. Exile. Whoa. Yeah, so much better than destroy. If they're indestructible, don't care. You know, they're just getting thrown out anyway. All kinds of like shenanigans that might get it out of trouble doesn't work anymore. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card, put that card into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. So if you're using this as removal, there's the downside of like they get a basic land. I know some people play with decks where they don't actually have enough basic lands, so that's something you might be able to take advantage of, but I wouldn't assume so. Usually later in the game, if you use this and they get 1 more land, probably not the end of the world, not a huge deal. early game, if you did this would be kind of a bad idea, I think. But you can also use this on yourself. Early game, make a 1/1 token, exile it, get a land. So you use it for yourself for a ramp or for other people as removal. Really nice. 80 cents only. Number 3, Swords to Plowshares. I honestly think this is worse than Path to Exile, but okay. For 1 white, exile target creature its control against life equal to its power. So the life gain thing is not a big deal, right? That's supposed to be like almost a meaningless downside. If they have a deck where they get some kind of like trigger from life gain, that might be more of a problem. That might be something where you can take advantage of that, right? You make like a 1/1 token, you boost up to a 3/3, you exile your own token, you gain 3 life, and you get like all of these triggers set off. So potentially useful in that way. In general though, Path to Exile, just the flexibility of like being able to exile your own thing and get a land. I think it's better. Anyway, 133. Number 2. Okay, the top 2 are very predictable if you build decks or play Commander or anything. But what are your alternatives for these is what I'm really interested in. Arcane Signet. Okay, so for 2 mana, add 1 mana of any color of your commander's color identity. 2 mana, to cast it and tap it to get the mana. Not 2 mana to get 1 mana. But anyway, when this first came out, it was a big deal. People were like losing their minds, like the Joker always says. And it was around $5, and then they just kept printing it, and now it's like 50 cents. So I remember at one point I had it, and I was like so excited that I had an Arcane Signet, and now it's like everyone and their donkey has one. So, yeah. Still very good. But what is your alternative to this? I think Skyclave Relic is my favorite. It is 3 to cast it, but you can cast it for kicker 3 and get 3 of them. And they're indestructible mana rocks. So, yeah. If there's any effect that like just destroys all artifacts on the battlefield, you don't care. You're keeping your mana rocks. Like, even, yeah, it's like indestructible arcane signets and you get 3 of them on 1 card. The value. 50 cents for this. Number 1. Soul Ring. So yeah. Spend 1 colorless mana to immediately be able to tap and get 2 colorless mana. Best ramp in the game. Like, it's colorless is maybe the only potential thing you could say is downside, but just incredible, right? Yeah. I don't need to go into a whole lot of like ranting about this because Soul Ring. You know, yeah. What do you use instead though? That's the real question. This is a trickier one, I think. 151? So we got the list. Chaos Warp is 63 cents. Farseek is 125. Rampant Growth is 41 cents. I would just not play it. I think it's been outclassed. I don't know. Beast Within 120. Counterspell 175. Still surprised it's not higher on the list. Cultivate 72 cents. Much better green ramp. Path to Exile is 80 cents. Swords to Plowshares is 133. Arcane Signet is 50 cents. Soul Ring is 151. Take it easy.